Where Winds Meet recently expanded with version 1.6, introducing the brand new region of Kuan. This update feels like a major step forward, not just in scale, but in how the world itself is presented. Alongside the new region, the update brings a stronger focus back into the main story, finally digging deeper into the protagonist's past and the truth behind it. Of course, it wouldn't be a major update without the new challenges, and version 1.6 delivers with multiple boss encounters and additional side stories to experience. Overall, this update introduces a new map, 3 campaign bosses, a world boss, and 3 side storylines, making it one of the more content-rich expansions the game has seen so far. So let's dive right into it. I've spent around 300 hours in Where Winds Meet, and honestly, updates like this are exactly why I keep coming back. It's one of those games that just never feels done. There's always something new regions, bosses, mechanics, and it keeps that live service energy without losing its identity. If I had to describe it simply, it's like a constantly evolving open-world action RPG, almost like a live service version of something in the spirit of Dark Souls, but with way more variety in what you can actually do. This update feels like the perfect time to return if you've taken a break. The new Kuan region wraps up the Hexi storyline and, as mentioned, finally starts digging deeper into the protagonist's past, which adds some real weight to everything you've been doing so far. What I like is that you don't have to grind through everything to get there. Once you hit the required level, you can go straight into the map. On top of that, there's free rewards like the 3 outfits just from playing events, which is always a nice bonus. Kuan itself is easily one of the best maps the game has added so far. Visually, it's on another level. The whole region shifts through 4 seasons, and while that sounds like a gimmick at first, it genuinely changes how you explore the world. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter all bring different activities, different environmental details, and different things to discover. One moment you're riding across massive green fields, and the next you're skating across frozen rivers or catching fireflies at night. Not every seasonal mechanic feels necessary from a gameplay perspective. Sometimes it can be a bit annoying when you need to switch seasons for specific objectives, but visually and atmospherically, it's easily one of the strongest parts of the update. There's also small mechanics tied to exploration that I actually liked more than I expected. Things like transforming, interacting with animals, or following them to hidden chests. It adds that extra layer of discovery. Yeah, it's not always essential gameplay-wise, but it gives you more to do and makes exploring feel less repetitive. Where the game really shines for me is still the boss fights. That's the main reason I keep playing, on higher difficulties especially. These fights demand real focus. You need to learn patterns, react properly, and actually understand what the boss is doing, instead of just brute forcing your way through. The Veiled Lady is a great example of that. She starts off manageable, almost slow, but quickly ramps up into this fast-paced fight that really tests your reactions and timing. Once she speeds up, it becomes intense. You're constantly dodging and parrying, and if you slip up, you're done. It's not always fun in the relaxed sense, especially on max difficulty, but it's incredibly engaging, and visually, like most bosses in the game, she looks fantastic. Then there's the Lunar Eidolon, which for me is easily one of the best bosses in the update. Maybe even one of the best in the game so far. The fight has multiple phases and each one builds on the last. The momentum where it transforms into a version of you is especially memorable because it suddenly feels like you're fighting your own playstyle. On top of that, the visuals and music during this fight are just on another level. The arena, the effects, everything, it all comes together perfectly. This was the kind of boss where once I finished it, I immediately thought, yeah, that was worth it. Let's not forget to mention the new world boss that came with the update, Snowplum Record. This fight is built around rhythm, timing, and precision, where every move ties into a haunting musical theme. The entire encounter is inspired by the tragic story of 2 blind sibling musicians who turned their mastery of music into something deadly. Most of the fight revolves around reading patterns, landing clean parries, and not getting greedy. But the combat aside, the story content is a bit more complicated, literally. It's interesting and there's some strong themes, especially around identity and memory, but it can be hard to follow at times. Some parts feel like you're moving through layered dreams or fragmented perspectives, And while that adds depth, it also makes it less straightforward to connect everything. That said, it does tie back into the main narrative and the protagonist's past, so it still feels meaningful overall, even if it's not the easiest story to digest. Here's why it feels that way. The official storylines, such as To Friends to the End and Sunken City Lake, focus on characters who knowingly embrace death for a greater cause. It's an exploration of sacrifice, the grit required to preserve hope when you won't live to see it realized. This is where the classical Wuxia influence hits hardest, shifting the stakes from mere survival to the weight of one's legacy. It suggests that in a world of chaos, acting with purpose is the ultimate form of defiance. The ruins of Peach Grove Pass and the Sunken Lake stand as silent monuments to this resolve. The dream outlasts the dreamer. Then there's Southwind's Wake, which shifts from grand tragedy to a more visceral, personal conflict. This arc connects you directly to the Veiled Lady through a shared, fractured past. As the game reveals you're both war orphans, it creates a psychological tension that mirrors your physical duels. She isn't just a rival, but a dark reflection of your own journey.
You're a beta male, Sonic.
This masterfully reframes Chang'an. It's no longer a gilded capital on a map, but a symbol of lost peace. For a wanderer, home isn't a distant empire. It's the fragile, everyday life found in places like Bogzandian. Another thing worth mentioning is how much there is to actually do in the game beyond just the main story. You've got guilds, professions, co-play, exploration, and now expanded PvP modes as well. It's clear they've tried to improve it with better matchmaking and fewer frustrating one-shot situations, which is a step in the right direction. At the end of the day, this update doesn't completely reinvent where winds meet, but it doesn't need to. It builds on what already works. The new map is stunning. The bosses are some of the best content in the game, and there's enough new stuff to keep you busy for quite a while. The story may not land perfectly for everyone, but everything else more than makes up for it. For me, it's simple. This is the kind of update that reminds me why I've already spent hundreds of hours in the game, and why I'm probably going to spend a lot more. If you're looking to rediscover that pure sense of exploration and challenge, there's no better time to dive in than right now. Where Winds Meet is available on PC, PS5, and mobile, and it's completely free to play, so definitely give it a try using the link in the description.